Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. According to Big C and the good old boys from down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, and London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course, you good old boys from Canada. Big C, we love you, good old boys. Today is September 15th, 2017. In the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you, good old boys?
Well, Charlton, I'm trying to recover from that hunting tip that you gave me yesterday where you were talking about those certain four-legged animals and parts out there.
Yeah.
You know, it made it easy hunting. I didn't think that hunting would be so easy. Now I got to go get me some hunting license so it'll be legal.
Yeah, I always thought that the Animal Crossing was for people. Then I realized they must want the animals to know where to cross, so they obviously it's for the animals to cross, but obviously it's also telling what the good old boys. It's like fishing with a net, from what I understand, Big C. I do want to say there's a lot of good things happening in the world of sports. We have the fight going on down in Las Vegas. Triple G, age 35, Alvarez is 27, and Triple G is 37-0. Alvarez is 49-1-1. The younger fighter has more fights, and both guys run around 5'10". And the reach is about the same, between 70 and 72 inches. Your thoughts on this fight? The combined wins, 67 of 86, have been by knockouts. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, this is a fight that's set not to go the distance. You know?
Yeah.
You think about boxing is sort of like taking a back seat to the MMA.
Yeah.
You know, Floyd Mayweather's really been the only huge draw. And then when you think about these guys really haven't been putting on electrifying fights.
No.
You know, Alvarez, Canelo won his last fight.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this sets him up for, they're fighting for 3 belts tomorrow night, Charlton.
Yeah, and
so that's going to be the big thing. You got the Russian coming in looking for dominance.
Yep.
And, you know, boxing is in its waning stage, it seems like, because the MMA is just so popular.
Well, let me just ask you, which one do you think Donald Trump has his money on, the Russian or the Mexican? Big C, your thoughts?
I don't need a lot of backroom bets on the Russian.
Okay.
He owns some people. He's tripling down on the Russian.
That's so funny. I want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, so many things happening in the world of sports, but I got to touch on one more thing. We were talking about Jamel Hill and the ESPN deal and Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't know how to walk away. Now he's coming back and saying that ESPN, I guess he's trying to do to them what he did to the NFL owners, saying they need to fire Jamel Hill. But I guess Donald Trump doesn't understand that his phone can also Google the Central Park 5 and the lawsuit he had against African Americans, that they African Americans had against him in New York for housing discrimination, and all the other things with the tapes we've heard. I've heard someone say, I can't believe that Floyd Money Mayweather said the same thing that Donald Trump said about grabbing women by the crotch, and they were jumping on Mayweather. Well, he learned it from POTUS. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, I look at this stat that he's having with Jamel Hill. You know, this is a very intelligent, articulate African-American woman, Charlton, who spoke the truth. You know, I haven't heard Donald Trump call for the firing of one white journalist since he started his campaign, and they all pointed out the things that he has said.
Yeah.
You know, as far as racist, bigotry, and everything else. Charlton, the latest is Charlottesville. Matter of fact, he went on the bigotry rant yesterday.
Yeah.
And talking about that all over again. He called his attorney general stupid.
Yeah.
You know, you think about the president of the University of the United States calling cabinet members stupid.
Yeah.
And this shows the intelligence, you know, the narcissism that he possesses, Charlie.
Yeah.
But, you know, for him to go after Jamel Hill, if ESPN does any action towards Jamel Hill, it shows that they are a racist tyrant.
Yeah.
What they think that they can do is remove one African-American person and replace it with another African-American person.
Yeah.
They think that that would be a smooth move. But, you know, we're not cognizant enough to recognize that. But if they're backing the president, come out and say we're backing the president.
Yeah.
But don't make a sacrificial lamb out of an excellent journalist
Yeah.
who spoke the truth. It'd be different if she was telling a lie.
Yeah.
And if ESPN fires her or removes her from the Six, the program that she's on, Charlton, then they're advocating the lying of the president.
Well, and all people have to do is Google it. Ironically, he said something that's so stupid. He said, you know, ESPN, they're losing their ratings because of what happened with this African-American reporter. If they're losing ratings, why is he watching? If they're losing ratings, why?
You know, you think about the president. This is the only place, Charlton, he gets his journalistic information from.
Yeah.
He doesn't have briefings. He doesn't have people coming in letting him know what's going on around the world. He watches Fox News.
Yeah.
And whatever Fox News says, that's what he goes to the pulpit with.
Yeah.
He goes out, he speaks to the American public on whatever Fox News says. They are his surrogate.
Yeah.
Because the intelligence is what he's lacking right now, Charlton. I guess he'll be calling for the firing of Charlton and Big C.
Well, maybe, hopefully he won't do that. You know, Russia might own all the airways based on everything we hear from all the news coming across the waters, Big C. But I do want to touch on a little bit of college football before we get heavy into the NFL today. Obviously, some games tonight as we're playing in college football on High School Friday. I thought high school was reserved for Friday, but I guess they're competing against these college players also. You have Illinois 2-0 there at number 21, South Florida. And that game's on ESPN. South Florida's favorite by 17.5 with Charlie Strong. Now, the Bulls have a good program. They have very good talent, but they're saying how great their talent is, not how good Charlie Strong is. Big C, your thoughts?
They had great talent in Texas also, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, you know, you had that backlash from that good old boy mentality saying, hey, just don't do what he says. You know, eventually he'll be gone and we'll get the guy in that we want, Tom Herman, who was 1-1 and lost his opening game. But the Bulls, you know, you're down in the hotbed of talent in Florida, Charlton. You know, you think about the universities down there, there's no one who lacks for talent in Florida.
No.
It's like being in California. It's all over the place. Ohio, it's all over the place, Charlton. Texas, you can't turn over a stone and not find 3 athletes under it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Charlie Strong is going to go in there, Charlton. He's going to win. He's going to lose no more than 1 game this season. And will they say it's Charlie Strong or will they say it's the athletes? I mean, it's almost like in the Dallas Cowboys. Wasn't Zach Prescott taking a team that Tony Romo couldn't win with? It was offensive line all of a sudden now is the best in pro football.
That's a very good point, Big C. Even going across the country, you know, I kind of missed the talk about Jim Harbaugh, and there's a little bit of backroom talk about maybe he'll go coach Indianapolis. Since Pecan doesn't know that they were playing in Los Angeles last week, maybe Jim Harbaugh knows who they were playing. And I mean, obviously you hope that the coach is okay. But Jim Harbaugh having his own success at Michigan 2-0 and ranked number 7 in the country, playing the Air Force Academy at 1-0. That's a game that Michigan should win handily. They're favored by 23.5. But I want to ask you, is there any chance that you see the Harbaugh connection with his former quarterback from Stanford, Andrew Luck? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I really don't know if Harbaugh wants to go to Indianapolis. Andrew Luck's career is not going to pan out the way that people think it is. His shoulder has been almost destroyed playing in Indianapolis. He still cannot throw a football. No one has seen Andrew Luck throw a football since he had surgery. Now, he had surgery before Cam Newton did, Charlton. I think if Jim Harbaugh were to go to Indianapolis, it would be almost suicide. The most likely choice if he goes back to the NFL, Charlton, would be the Chicago Bears. That would make more practical sense because if you go to the Indianapolis Colts and you're looking at the ownership, the way that it is there, who knows when this guy may go on a pill run.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Big C. As we jump up north, Wisconsin's always one of those dominant teams in the Big 10, or as you call it, Big 19 conference, but they don't win championships. When they had Alvarez, obviously they went out to the Rose Bowl, but since then they've had a hard time becoming the top team in that conference. They're usually a solid 2 or 3. This is kind of a trap game. They're on the road. They're ranked number 12 in the country. They're 2-0. They're at BYU, which is 1-2, and it's a grass stadium, and it's up high up in the hills of Utah. I mean, BYU's not that impressive, but this game's on ABC. Is it a trap game for them to get out of a pounded kind of team and go against a team that can throw the football, even though I'm not that impressed with BYU? Your thoughts on Wisconsin, Big C?
Well, Charlton, Wisconsin hasn't been the same since Brett Miller left and went to Arkansas. But they still have a lot of dominant athletes. I think the physicality of this team will wear down BYU. BYU has not been able to find their passing attack, and that's what they've had a history and lineage of, is great quarterbacks getting the ball downfield. The kid that they're playing now came back off his 2-year mission. Charlton, he just hasn't found the groove. I see Wisconsin coming out just physically pushing their wheel on BYU in this game, and BYU is coming off a loss, so they're not going to be in the best of spirits facing this big physical team of Wisconsin, Charlton.
That's another good point, Big C. I'm looking at number 23, Tennessee, down in your neck of the woods, 2-0. They're at number 25, Florida, which is 0-1. We know Florida had a lot of issues with players being suspended from the team versus the Michigan game, but they're only favored. Florida's favored by 4.5 over undefeated Tennessee. Florida's very talented. That tells you when you have a lot of uproar in your program and things are not quite right, you can kind of feel it. but they're still a 4.5-point favorite over Tennessee. Do you buy that, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Tennessee has had a couple of hard-fought victories, Charlton, but Florida, is in a little bit of disarray. McElwain has just not gotten the job done. Nesmire, the offensive coordinator, is not the same offensive coordinator that he was at Alabama when they won a national championship.
Yeah.
And, when you lose so many players through suspension, you got to worry about the morale of the players that are left behind, Charlton.
Yeah.
Who's looking over their shoulder. And, you get rid of 10, but it might have been 20 involved when you think about it.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. When you think about it, there's always a little bit more that gets kind of pushed under the carpet. I want to ask you also, as we stay down near the SEC, I look at Colorado State at 2-1. Just another warm-up game for Alabama. Colorado's out of the Mountain West. They just played Fresno State last weekend out of the Mountain West. Now Colorado State's going into Alabama at 2-0. And the Tide are favored by 28.5. Now, they were favored by 41 of the Fresno State. Not the type of point margin they wanted to have, but is there any opportunity of a letdown with a team that's going to throw the ball a lot? They're going to have to hang in there with Alabama. I don't think they're going to win it all, but can they cover that 28.5? That seems like it's pretty small, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Colorado State beat Oregon State opening game of the season.
Yeah.
So they do have some offensive ability, and they scored over 40 against Oregon State.
Yeah.
Alabama is one of those teams, when you face Alabama, this is a defense that you haven't seen previous to coming to Tuscaloosa, and you won't see after you leave Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
It's the physicality of that Alabama defense. Everyone thought that defense would be down. It's the offense for Alabama that has struggled this year trying to get on the track. I don't know where Steve Sarkisian is. I don't even know. Well, he's gone now. They brought in an offensive coordinator from the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
So bringing that adaptation from the pro game to the college game, where in the college game is up-tempo. Pro, you take it down to the last couple of seconds on the play clock.
Yeah.
That's been an adjustment for their offense, bringing somebody from the NFL to college football, and it's going to take a couple more games for them to get completely on track, Charlton.
That's a very good point, Big C. As we also stay down on the SEC, a lot of good games. This is a big game for SEC. Number 11 LSU on the road with Coach Orgeron at Mississippi State, also 2-0. That game is 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. And LSU is favored by 7.5 going on the road. Their defense, I think, is lights out, maybe one of the top 2 or 3 in the SEC. Does Mississippi State have a chance to pull off the upset? Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Dan Mullen, Charlton, over the past couple of years has always found a way to win the big games. You think about it, this is the coach that, developed Dak Prescott, the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. He also has another young quarterback that they're looking at the same talent-wise as Prescott.
Yeah.
So Mississippi State can throw the football, Charlton, which has been one of the Achilles heels of LSU the past decade.
Yep.
So if they can get off throwing the ball and get off, a couple of scores early in the game, it can spell trouble for LSU. But this defense, as we talked about, is very vaunted. The LSU, if you recall the opening game of the season, Charlton, when they didn't let their opponent
that was BYU. Yeah.
That bodes well. And they've only given up on the season, Charlton, in 2 games, just a little bit over 350 yards. So it's tough to move the ball against the Tigers.
Big C, one of the bigger games, we talked about it briefly yesterday. I want to just get your thoughts on this Heisman Trophy matchup. I think 2 of the marquee games, obviously, coming in to the weekend. You have number 2 Clemson. Maybe some people think they're ranked too high. They're 2-0. They're at number 14 Louisville. Louisville, maybe people think they're ranked too low. That's an 8 o'clock p.m. start on the East Coast on ABC Sports. They are playing on artificial surface, so they'll be a little bit faster, both teams. Clemson's favored by 3.5 going into Louisville, playing, I think, the best college football quarterback in the country. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Charlton, he has the best quarterback in the country versus the best defense in the country. It's a lights-out scenario for this pass rush for the Clemson Tigers. I mean, they put Auburn on their back frequently and often last week.
Yeah.
And so Lamar Jackson is a different type of breed of quarterback. He's not going to be sitting there in that one spot where you can track him down like you did Stidham for Auburn last week. Lamar Jackson, Charlton, 6 touchdowns he accounted for, well over 500 yards in total offense.
Yeah.
It's going to be a true challenge. And if you think about the game that they played last year, this was a lights-out game if the receiver did it stepping out of bounds.
Yep.
It may have been, Louis playing in the championship tournament instead of Clemson.
Yeah.
But they don't have Deshaun Watson, Charlton. They got a first-year starter this year at Clemson. Last week he had some struggles against Auburn, only was able to produce 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's going to need more than 2 touchdowns tomorrow night, Charlton, to beat Louisville.
That's a very good point, Big C. We also look at the big game on the West Coast. Everyone is talking about it because it brings back memories of maybe the best college football game, at least over the last 30 or 40 years, when Texas, led by Vince Young, who can't find a job in the NFL, even though he's still better than a lot of guys playing, and took the mighty Texas Longhorns into USC and knocked off the Trojans, which are on a 34-game win streak, and Pete Carroll obviously going for his third national championship. And that game still has memories. As you said yesterday, they're saying it doesn't count because, I guess they said it doesn't count because of some type of, I guess what, misappropriation of funds? Is that what they call it down south for you good old boys, Big C? But obviously, that game was loaded with talent. We had 2 Heisman Trophy winners with USC, with Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, and then Mac Brown bringing in, basically it was a Vince Young and everybody else. Just your thoughts on, does that game still resonate down south, even though it's not in the SEC territory? Big C, your thoughts?
It was one of those electrifying games that held the nation's attention because of all what was at stake in that game. Heisman Trophy winners, the national championship, all of that, Charlton. One of the greatest games coached by Mac Brown during his storied career while he was at Texas and even before while he was in North Carolina. But this is a game, Charlton, that lacks the luster that it lacked a decade ago. Okay? When we realistically look at it, who's who in Texas? No one knows. This is a program that's, on the rebuilding, Tom Herman. I think he may have run out of pixie dust,
that's funny.
It's going to be down there in Los Angeles, so I think Disney World Disneyland is right down there. Go find Tinkerbell. Get some pixie dust because he's going to need all the pixie dust he can if he hopes to stay in there with USC, Charlton.
That's going to be a great game, at least watching the athletes. I think USC is simply too strong in the line play. And I think if you look at the quarterback position, USC, they're going to try to shine, so they'll probably try to throw the ball a lot more than they run it. And the point spread in that game, ironically, is by 15.5. Imagine Texas losing by 2 touchdowns, no matter who they're playing, with all the talent. Texas is one of the top teams, or one of the top states in the United States when it comes to talent. And you're going to tell me their top university is going to go a 2-touchdown underdog on the road to anybody? I just can't wait to see that kickoff for that one, Big C. I do want to jump across to Major League Baseball real quick because the Cleveland Indians right now, they're at it again. They're doing something unprecedented. And they were up early on Kansas City. Your thoughts on, is this streak a bad thing because they're going to need to be better in the playoffs than they are in September, Big C? Your thoughts?
No, Charlton, this streak is a great thing because you have motivated fans. And when you're playing with momentum and enthusiasm, Charlton, that really pushes you a long way. You think about it, they were down in the 9th inning last night, Charlton, at their last bat with 2 outs and 2 strikes. Before getting a player hitting a double and driving in the tying run, and they lead off in the next inning, Charlton, and win the game. This is what teams with confidence do. That you find a way to win. You manufacture wins. You just didn't walk in there. They were a so-run team. Being down in the ninth, Charlton, they wouldn't have cared. Wouldn't have that motivation there to try to pull out that victory, Charlton. But what Francona has done in Cleveland, Charlton, is built a culture of winning, built a culture of confidence. And this is great for baseball. When you look at it and you think about games that are, this is must-see TV. When you think about baseball, what in baseball can equal the Indians? You had, Carlos Stanton down in Miami, with over 50 home runs. You had Aaron Judge hit 2 home runs last night for the Yankees. But it's all about the Cleveland Indians right now, Charlton. That's what baseball's focus is on, the Cleveland Indians.
I do want to tell you that's a very good point, that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every sported event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. They cover pro athletes, your collegiate teams, your high school teams, even your mom and pop soccer leagues. If you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. Big C, we cover the NFL, and I know that's what you love more than all the things outside of Alabama football. But last night,
I love that new Animal Crossing.
Do you find a lot of good old boys are hanging around those Animal Crossing slides now that we brought it up on Big C Sports, Big C? That's funny to me. But last night, Houston, I just got to get your thoughts on how they went in there and started a rookie quarterback, second game of the season, and he goes in there and looks like he's at Clemson sometime running the ball, had the longest touchdown from scrimmage in the history of the Houston Texans franchise against Cincinnati that's been a perennial playoff team. They've been a team that a lot of people love their defense. But how do they lose to a rookie quarterback in his first time with the number 1 unit, Big C? Your thoughts?
You got to look at Cincinnati in the first 2 games of the NFL that have lost their first two games without scoring a touchdown. So they don't bode well. They fired the offensive coordinator today. But, when you think about Deshaun Watson, and, I thought, Houston would give Tom Savage a little more rain, but I understand why. We talked about him having the longest run for touchdown from scrimmage
in their history.
In Texan history.
Yeah.
Is that they have no offensive line, Charlton.
Yeah.
He was hit one time last night, Charlton, and I don't know why the officials didn't throw a flag because it was almost like hitting the defensive player when the defensive lineman came around and just smashed him.
Yeah.
But, this is a situation that you have to have a mobile quarterback in Houston because the offensive line, they refuse to sign their best offensive lineman, Charlton. He's still holding out.
Yeah.
Now, if he was a white quarterback, he'd have been signed last year. He played offseason just to give him money.
Yeah.
But your best offensive lineman who anchored the offensive lineman, all-pro offensive tackle, and everyone knows how valuable they are based on that Michael Oher movie, The Blind Side.
Yeah.
You have to have this guy to protect the quarterback. You think about all great quarterbacks in the NFL, Charlton, has an offensive tackle that protects their blind side. Even Brady has Nate Solder in New England. And you look up and down the board, Charlton, they all have it. Houston is refusing to do that.
Yeah.
So O'Brien is going to have to find a way to keep Deshaun Watson healthy.
Yeah.
He scored the only offensive touchdown they had last night, Charlton. But you got to get your offensive line to play better if you want him to have a lengthy career in the NFL.
Big C, that's a very good point. We look at the Cleveland Browns playing at the Baltimore Ravens, and that game, the Cleveland Browns 0-1, Baltimore's 1-0. That game is Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS Sports. Andrew Catalan and James Laughlin and Steve Tasker have the play-by-play. Your thoughts on Kaiser coming into his second game? He looked good in his first game, even though they lost. And Flacco doesn't seem all that great right now. I know he was injured in the offseason. Your thoughts on Cleveland at Baltimore? The Ravens are favored by 9 in that game. Big C, your thoughts?
I don't think the Ravens winning this game by 9, Charlton. That 9 was based off of the performance that they had against the Cincinnati Bengals. And we see that the Cincinnati Bengals still cannot score.
Yeah.
I look at what Cleveland did against Pittsburgh last week, Charlton. You talk about building momentum and confidence off of a loss in the NFL. Cleveland really did that last week by coming in with this rookie quarterback. They played the Pittsburgh Steelers close to the best, Charlton. I think with another game under his belt that he'll be much more improved.
Yeah.
The team will have the confidence going against the Ravens, knowing that Cincinnati was not the team that everybody thought they were, and the Browns could be better than Cincinnati, Charlton.
That's a very good point, Big C. We look at Chicago. They're 0-1, Windy City, going down to Florida. I know a lot of the teams in Florida. They're at Tampa Bay, and the Buccaneers, obviously, they're a 7-point favorite. But I still think that some of the residue of the flooding going on might affect them emotionally. The Bears played Atlanta very tough last week. I know Winston's a very good quarterback. His top target is Deshaun Jackson, who really go deep downfield, and tight end O.J. Howard. Just want to get your thoughts on that game Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox Sports. Dick Stockton, Mark Schlereth, and Shannon Spake is going to do the play-by-play. Your thoughts on Tampa being emotionally ready, Big C, your thoughts?
Don't forget about Mike Evans, Sheldon, that big Julio Jones type of receiver.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay will be ready for this game. I mean, everybody's been devastated in Florida by what happened from the hurricane, Charlton. But emotionally, you can't stay down forever. This is the one uplifting that most fans have is their professional sports team.
Yeah.
And Tampa is such a community-based team. You think about it. When they entered the NFL, Charlton, they still hold the record for the longest losing streak in the NFL, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So this is a team, this is an organization that is built with adversity.
Yeah.
And so if any team can come back from the adversity of a community, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can do that, Charlton, because they fought through that futility in their first couple of years in the league.
Yeah.
But, when you look at Chicago, they're still unsettled at quarterback. They found a running back last week that they hope can be consistent for them. But Tampa has such a great defense, Charlton. I think Tampa's defense was much better than, Atlanta's. Even though Atlanta went to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston has been on the uprise, Charlton, ever since he's been in the NFL. 2 back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
They upgraded his receiving core. I like Tampa Bay in this game, Charlton.
That's a very good point, Big C. He can really throw the football. He has a great receiver to throw to in Jackson. Minnesota Vikings 1-0. On the road at Pittsburgh 1-0. The Steelers are favored by 6. That game is Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox Sports. Kenny Albert, Rondé Barber, and Christina Pink doing the play-by-play. I look at Dalvin Cook, the running back for the Vikings. He makes people forget about Adrian Peterson. He's also out of Florida State. Pittsburgh Steelers, Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown. that tells me that those guys, Brown might just be the best receiver in football. I know we talk about Beckham, we talk about so many other guys that can run, but something about this combination, Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown, might be too much to overcome Pittsburgh by 6. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, could the Vikings beat Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, no, never. Not that I know of.
Okay, so the same thing happened Sunday, Charles. They won't win. Hands down, they won't win this game. Pittsburgh right now is going to be a solid team.
Yeah.
They played it close last week against Cleveland, but Bradford right now is on the limp already from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Too much success is not good for him.
Yeah.
So you had a quarterback that was pushing it down the field. He's questionable for this game coming up. You know that Pittsburgh can put pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Bradford is a stationary target.
Yeah.
I don't think that this will be a game that if he plays that he'll complete, Charlton. So don't give the Vikings much of a chance. They know that Cook can run the ball,
Yeah.
but you don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball this week.
And Le'Veon Bell did not play very well after a long holdout. You know he's going to find his rhythm. He's going to get you 100 yards a game, too. I like Pittsburgh this season. I'm telling you, Big C, here's a game that has a lot of people who are going to say maybe one quarterback is washed up or maybe even both. New England. No one thought that they'd play as bad as they played last week against Kansas City. They're 0-1 on the road at the New Orleans Saints, also 0-1. 2 marquee quarterbacks, $100,000 quarterbacks. That game's Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS Sports. You have Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson doing the play-by-play. I do want to tell you, when I was listening to Tony Romo's game, I think he called the Raiders in Tennessee. He was diagnosing what was going to happen before the play happened. Now, I don't know if in the meetings they were telling him what to say, but why would you have your play-by-play guy on TV saying what play they're going to run, Big C? That make any sense? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, to a lot of people, they felt that he gave insight because you're letting people know that the ball's going to the left.
Yeah, to Vegas, perhaps.
I mean, that's the audible scheme in the NFL. It's universal. All teams use the same audible scheme.
Yeah.
Certain signature letters and words mean that the ball is going a certain place. He recognized those things, Charlton.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it adds to a broadcast. We as fans and spectators like to see plays develop.
Yeah.
It's hard going to a play and somebody talking during the play or talking during the movie, telling you what's going to occur.
Yeah.
It takes away some of the luster of it, Charlton.
Yeah.
Let things develop in front of me and then, give me the commentary why it happened. I think Tony Romo was getting ahead of himself. He was so excited about being in the first game.
Yeah.
He wanted to let people know of his football knowledge.
Yeah.
Let your novice explain the game, not deliver the game. Let it explain the game, Charles.
Yeah, tell me what happened after we see it, because when you're talking to coaches and offensive coordinators and they see, wait a minute, you're telling the playbook when it's on TV to our opponents? Obviously, maybe I know he's new at it and everything else, but I just thought that was ironic. I do want to say Tom Brady, I like Tom as a quarterback, 44% completion last week against Kansas City, no touchdowns, 70% passer ratings. He looked like he was already 45 years old, even though he's 40. And the defense, Belichick defense, giving up 537 yards. I know it was just one of those emotional nights getting the Super Bowl ring, and maybe they were partying a little bit too much with that moonshine you good old boy shipped up there from the South Big C. But I think there's a lot of things happening. Who's going to be the GOAT? Will it be Tom Brady if they lose, or will it be the good old boy down south that everybody loves when you look at the game in New Orleans, Big C? Your thoughts on Drew Brees?
Well, Charlton, you look at the Patriots. This is a team that's not as healthy as people thought it was. Gronkowski is not the tight end he was 4 years ago in the NFL. He's had multiple injuries. They're trying to develop a new receiver core. If you think about it, they have 3 new receivers in the core this year. So the timing is not there because the starters don't always play.
Yeah.
The defense giving up over 500 yards, Charlton. They have 4 new defensive starters.
Yeah.
So the coordination between everybody is not there yet, Charlton. Give New England a couple games. They're going to still win their division. You think about it. They got to play the Bills twice. They got to play the Jets twice.
Yeah.
And whoever else is in that division, they got to play twice. The
Yeah.
Dolphins.
Miami,
They
yeah.
split with the Dolphins, but they're going to win the division hand. Well, not Jay Cutler's quarterback. And they'll be
Yeah, that's funny.
this is a situation where you don't count a team out like New England the first week of the season.
Yeah.
They can go 12-4, Charlton, and lose 3 more games this season.
Yeah.
All right?
That's a good
No
point.
one's going to count them out. That's a 12-4 division title.
Well, they're favored by 7 going into the Dome, so we'll have to see what quarterback comes out as the GOAT and one as the champion. Philadelphia Eagles 1-0 on this season, had a great game against Washington in Week 1 at Kansas City, which looks very much like an AFC contender. Kansas City's favored by 6. that they're 1-0 in the season. That game Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox Sports. Kevin Burkhardt, Charles Davis, and Pam Oliver have the play-by-play. Carson Wentz actually looked pretty decent in his first game. I'm telling you that defense is led by Fletcher Cox and linebacker Jordan Hicks. They held the Redskins 264 yards by Kirk Cousins, not able to get it done. Was that a fluke? Because I don't think Washington is as good as a lot of people thought. And Philly actually looked pretty decent against them. But Kansas City is a different breed of cat, especially up there playing at Arrowhead. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton Alex ran through for over 360 yards. The young running back out of Toledo, the rookie, ran for over 140. You think about it. New England giving up 500 yards in offense. You don't get that often in an NFL game. Okay?
No.
But, this is a game that with Andy Reid's thumbprint all over it. I mean, he coached in Philadelphia for over a decade. He's turned around the Kansas City Chiefs organization. This is a battle of two quarterbacks that will set the stage as far as the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Can Alex Smith keep that hot hand?
Yeah.
I think Alex was motivated by all the negative talk of the Chiefs drafting a quarterback in the first round, and his job, this was the last season he was going to be in Kansas City, and he's out to prove all the naysayers wrong.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is trying to grow up. They surrounded him with all these great weapons at the receiving corps. It's time for him to deliver. He delivered last week against the Redskins.
Yep.
Can he deliver against that other team with the Native American name, Charles?
Yeah, and that's a very good point. Kareem Hunt, the rookie running back, record-setting night against, you can't fool defensive coordinators too much, but Hunt had a great game against the New England Patriots, a team that I think is also very dominant. Tennessee Titans, they're 0-1 because they lost that great game to the Raiders. They're at Jacksonville, which is 1-0 surprisingly, beating up on Houston. Again, the emotional impact of the flood down in Houston. And the Tennessee Titans are favored by 3 going into Jacksonville Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS Sports. Spero Dedes and Adam Archuleta have the play-by-play. Can Mariota bounce back? He actually had a decent game against Oakland, but can they do it again on the road after having a loss, Big C? Can they go into Jacksonville and get the win?
Well, Charles, you're going to find that Jacksonville are contenders from last week's game.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette, ran the ball very well, which he's a younger version of Marshawn Lynch with more speed. So that's going to present problems for that Tennessee defense. But Blake Bortles, will he become cocky and antsy and want to throw the ball? As long as Blake Bortles is not throwing the ball, Jacksonville has the advantage in this game. The minute he figures or thinks he has to start throwing the ball, Charlton, you can turn it over to Mariota and the rest of the Titans offense because they'll take full advantage of that by, Jacksonville moving the ball control offense.
That's a very good point. Leonard Fournette obviously going to be called to move the chains a lot in that game. Another game that had promise in the preseason. Arizona Cardinals 0-1. They're favored by 7.5 at Indianapolis, 0-1. That game Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox Sports. Chris Myers, Dale Johnson, and Laura Oakman have the play-by-play. But both quarterbacks, obviously, I don't know what's going on with Luck, but he's not going to play perhaps in the next couple of weeks. But I'm concerned about Palmer because if you recall a few years ago, when Palmer had the Cardinals rolling, they went to Carolina, he broke his finger on his throwing hand. And since then, Big C, he just has not been the same. He's 37 years old, but he threw 3 interceptions last week in the opener, and Colin Kaepernick still can't get a job. Your thoughts?
Well, Johnson, he can throw 3 more in this game playing against Indianapolis, although they would probably drop him.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
If the Cardinals don't win this game, Charlton, their season is in the tank.
Yeah.
You look on the flip side at the Colts, they're going to be starting Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
The Thorzine, experiment is over. After he's never won a game as a starter in the NFL. If you think about it, 3 years ago, Charlton, he was Colin Kaepernick's backup in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And if Thorzine can get a job, Colin Kaepernick cannot get a job. But, you get the most NFL-ready quarterback who can't get a job, and you got teams that can't even score touchdowns in the NFL. Indianapolis, Cincinnati, and so on, Charlton. These teams can't score, but Colin Kaepernick can't play quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, last thing I know, Colin had a 16 touchdown, 4 interception ratio last year with a really, really bad team. Imagine if you put him with a good running team and an offensive line that could block the way they did when he went to the Super Bowl and 2 NFC championship games. I'm looking at a guy named Kirk Cousins who says, you like that? You like that? No, they don't like his performance last week. But the Redskins off to an 0-1 start at the L.A. Rams. 1-0 this season. The Rams are favored by 3. That game is Sunday, 4:25 Eastern Time kickoff on Fox Sports. Tom Brenneman, Chris Spielman, and Peter Schrager have the play-by-play. Now, I want to ask you your thoughts. We talked about Goff not being strong enough, not having the ability to throw downfield. I think he looked a lot better than what he really is because they were playing the Colts, who also acknowledged they didn't know where they were playing. So obviously that had a lot to do with the defense. But against Washington, he has a second chance to look pretty decent on back-to-back games. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, people talk about golf. It's not golf, Jonathan, it's the Rams. The Rams upgraded. They have 3 new offensive linemen, 2 new receivers. Their running game is back in play with Gurley. Golf is he's reaping the benefits of what the Rams did in offense. He hasn't improved any. They improved the tools around him, Charlton, which allowed him the ability to play.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
But, when you're looking at this situation with Kirk Cousins, he and his $25 million paycheck are coming to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
All right? He loses this game against the Rams, I would cut him. I honestly would. I'd cut him. You're going to eat the $25 million either way it goes.
Yeah.
But I'd cut him. It proves to you that if he loses this game against the Rams, he's not a good NFL quarterback.
No.
Because when you make $25 million, you should win 12 games in the season.
Yeah.
Minimum. 12. You should
Yeah.
when the rest of the guys want to sit on the bench and drink Gatorade.
Yeah.
With moonshine in it. You should be out there outperforming other 11 guys like yourself.
Big C, maybe that's the problem. They've been getting all their Gatorade from the same people that makes it for some of those schools down south that we hear about, and they changed the elixir in it. Big C, if you read between the lines with that one, I want to ask you a game that's coming up that looks like. I'm kind of excited about this, and maybe not so much either. But I look at a game, and it's the Buffalo Bills that 1-0 at Carolina 1-0. Two good teams that have good offenses. That game's Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS Sports. Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon doing the play-by-play. I look at Tyrod Taylor threw 2 touchdown passes, and Sean McCoy had 160 yards last week from scrimmage. Looked very good. Cam Newton didn't have the best game at San Francisco, but he came off of surgery. But this team at Carolina is loaded. I got to see 2 premier African-American quarterbacks playing this game. And I think Carolina's actually a favorite slightly. Big C, your thoughts on this game? Carolina's by 7, your thoughts?
Well, Jonathan, this is a game that Carolina solely needs. I don't expect the Bills to win their division, but Carolina has to have this game to stay in pace with Tampa Bay and Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hot division with those 3 teams. Cam Newton has a lot to prove. They tried to change his playing style this year, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Not let Cam be more of a pocket passer, getting rid of the ball with timing. When you take that away, it's like telling a quarter horse he can't run anymore. Okay?
Yeah.
So you got to let Cam be Cam. His career won't be a 15-year career playing the style of football that he plays, but I would rather have 10 years of greatness out of Cam, playing like Cam Newton, making it back to the Super Bowl again, other than shackling Cam and say you can't be the quarterback that we drafted.
That's a very good point. Big C, across the West Coast, the Miami Dolphins at the Los Angeles Chargers in front of 27,000 Rockets fans at Home Depot Center, SubHub Center. 4 o'clock Eastern Time kickoff on CBS Sports. Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, and Jamie Erdahl with the play-by-play. I don't know what to say about the NFL. I think this is a bad look to have a 27,000-seat high school championship stadium. That's where they play the Southern California Championships down there in high school football. Also a home for a soccer league team. And I just feel bad for the city of San Diego because they're good enough to host Super Bowls down there. And they for some other reason, ego got in the way, and it robbed the fans. An extra 30,000 fans, maybe 40,000 could have shown up for this game, but it's at SubHub Center. Your thoughts on that game? And it looks like the Chargers are favored by 4.5 points. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Chargers, this will be another one of those negative marks on Roger Goodell's career as the commissioner of the NFL.
Yeah.
Allowing an NFL team to play in a 20,000-seat, junior college stadium, Charlton. That's ridiculous
Yeah.
at this day and age of billion-dollar owners that you're playing basically in a Texas high school stadium.
Yeah.
Is what you're playing in.
Yeah.
But, the look that the Chargers have, Charlton, I don't know how much you could be motivated as a professional team walking out playing against this municipal crowd.
Yeah.
I know you're professionals, but they didn't look good in the preseason playing there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to improve their play in the regular season because you look around and it has to be demoralizing to the professional team, Charlton, say, God, this is what we've become from the 70,000-seat, Jack Murphy Stadium or whatever it was called nowadays, Charlton.
Paul Palm, that Jack Murphy.
Park,
Yeah.
To playing in a 22,000-seat facility, this is embarrassing.
And obviously, when you look at the Coliseum, I mean, it's going to have a great crowd, over 90,000 USC Texas. And then you look at the Chargers, and they're going to be in front of 27,000. It's their homecoming to Los Angeles, and that's 1960 when they last played in Los Angeles. I just don't think that's a great thing for the league, and I agree with you. There's sometimes you block a team from going from the penthouse to the outhouse, and it seems like it's just a slam in the face of NFL fans and the TV rights and all that jazz. But they have the money, yeah.
Why didn't they go play in the Rose Bowl? It's not that far from
Exactly.
where they're playing in.
Exactly.
Where UCLA plays in.
Yep, I agree.
They could have went there. That's a 90,000 seat stadium. Also, at least they could have gotten 60,000 fans in there, Charleston.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it would have been a better picture for the NFL. They talk about fan participation in the stadiums is down now, Charleston.
Yeah.
It's way down.
Yeah.
But this brings it to the average. You think about 22,000 people in an NFL game.
Yeah.
And we saw that in a lot of stadiums last week. Cincinnati didn't sell out last night.
No.
Against the Texans.
Yeah.
And we've seen it across the board in the NFL.
San Francisco had like 40,000.
Against the Panthers.
Yeah.
They had a half full house.
Yeah.
So the NFL is talking about what's going on with our viewership. The viewership is turning the channel, Charles.
Yeah.
Because you can get everything on your cellular device. You can get it on your television.
On the app.
You can get it in your car.
Yeah.
So who has to go sit in a game now?
Yeah, that's a very good point, Big C. I'm looking at another game in California up north. The New York Jets, the Jets, Jets. They're 4-1 versus the Oakland Raiders that are 1-0 on the season. Favored by 14. Now, I like the Raiders' offense, but 14 is a lot to give up, especially when your defense is not the dominant defense. I think they're better than they were last year. That game Sunday, 4:05 Eastern Time, CBS Sports. Ian Eagle, Dan Fouts, and Evan Washburn have the play-by-play. I'm impressed with Marshawn Lynch knowing how to count on his hands, but obviously he can't use the same hands to spell out the number one. He'll get $12,000 fine. Carr, great quarterback, 260-plus yards passing last week, 2 touchdowns. I don't even know if you can stop the Raiders when they throw the football, Big C. Is it anything the Jets can do to even stay close within 14? Your thoughts?
Well, they played the Bills last week. They gave up 2 touchdown passes to Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
They gave up over 160 yards of offense to Shady McCoy.
Yeah.
So I see them duplicating their performance of not giving up 3 touchdowns to Carr and at least 75 yards on the ground to Lynch. The Jets right now are a team without a quarterback, Charles. It's hard to play an NFL game without a quarterback. We've seen it. We saw that last night in Cincinnati. We've seen it on a few other occasions.
Yeah.
Teams are going out there with Indianapolis. You're trying to play an NFL game without an NFL quarterback, you lose.
Yeah.
It's simple. You can play hardball and blackball a guy out of the league who can win at the pivot position in the NFL, and you can stay with these trash can guys.
Yeah.
Saying that they're NFL quarterbacks and keep losing. And that's what you're going to have with the Jets. Todd Bowles is a lame duck coach.
Yeah.
You have a team that refused to sign him a quarterback. Colin Kaepernick was available as one of the few other quarterbacks who were available, Charlton.
Yeah.
But they refused to sign him a quarterback because, in a way, you almost look at it. Do you want to see the African-American, head coach fail in the NFL because you won't put the talent around him that he deserves?
Well, I tell you, they're trying to fire the good old boy at Cincinnati for making the playoffs every year, and Marvin Lewis. I want to look at another game, and just think about the crowd we talked about down in Southern California for the Chargers. Up in Seattle, San Francisco 49ers 0-1 at Seattle. The Seahawks are also 0-1. A few things went on at Green Bay, but they're favored by 14 over their rivals from San Francisco. The game Sunday at 4:25 Eastern Time on Fox. Sam Rosen, David Deal, and Jennifer Hale have the play-by-play. Shanahan, given the job in San Francisco, it's like the same thing. It's almost, you ever see that movie Groundhog Day? I think Chevy Chase was in it.
Bill Murray?
Yeah, Bill Murray was in it, actually. You kept seeing the same thing happen every day. And since they chased out Harbaugh, it seems like they're just pulling at straws. And I still look at Shaw down there at Stanford. Write the check and say, what do you want to come build an NFL-style football program? Because you have a $1.5 billion stadium that had about 40,000 people in the whole 70,000. Now they're at Seattle, and they're going to have a madhouse of about 70,000 screaming fans. Your thoughts on what we're going to see from Seattle and San Francisco, Big C?
Charlton, just 4 or 5 years ago, you thought this would be one of the greatest rivalries in the NFL.
Yeah.
Year in and year out, 2 young upstart quarterbacks, great talent surrounding them. One organization stayed pat, the other one scrapped everything that was good, Charlton. There's nobody left in San Francisco. There's no rivalry left in this game. This will be a short fuse for Seattle. They will blow San Francisco out. San Francisco is a hapless organization right now. It doesn't make any difference who Shanahan plays. They don't have a chance. He
Yeah.
can't figure it out, Charlton. They gave him a 5-year contract, 6-year contract to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
3 years from now, San Francisco will be the same team that they were last week against Carolina.
And I think you make a good point about that, Big C. Detroit Lions 1-0 at New York Giants 1-1. And the Giants are favored by 3. That's Monday at 8:30 Eastern Time on NBC Sports. Sean McDonough, John Gruden, and Lisa Salters have the play-by-play. The Lions turned another fourth-quarter deficit into a 35-23 win over Arizona, but we know Arizona has problems. If you look at Eli Manning, he's making all the money for the Giants. And they're saying they can't win if they don't have Odell Beckham. Manning throws a lot of interceptions when it counts. But now they can't even score a touchdown against the Dallas Cowboys with a $100 million quarterback. They're at home in the Meadowlands where so many people expect the Giants to have a good season. What happened to New York, Bixie? Your thoughts?
Well, I think Odell Beckham was asking for a contract extension, Charlton.
Yeah.
And, you're asking for a contract extension and to get paid. Why go out there and play when you're hurt?
Yeah.
You're jeopardizing that potential contract extension, Charlton.
Yeah.
So Odell Beckham, I think he'll sit out another game, Charlton. Because as he said, he doesn't know what the nature of the injury is. It's up to the doctors to say whether he's 100% healthy. But I don't see him going out there at 80 or 90%, Charlton. I want him, and he wants himself to be 100%.
Yeah.
We're going to find out how good a quarterback Eli Manning is once again without Odell Beckham. As you mentioned, he didn't score an offensive touchdown.
No.
He makes $22 million a year, and he couldn't put a touchdown on the board. But yet, the media wanted to make, a mockery of saying, well, Odell Beckham was out at some nightclub or some dance contest with Michael Westbrook. There's no video of it.
Yeah.
I think everybody has a cell phone nowadays, so at least there should have been one video
Yeah.
taking of this dance-off incident.
Yeah.
But you think about that. They brought up the boat incident from last year, saying that was the reason why the Giants lost the playoff game to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Because Odell and half the other Giants offense was down on a boat.
Yeah.
Okay, Odell wasn't in the game.
No.
So you're going to put this loss on Odell's back also because Eli Manning played in both games.
Yeah.
And couldn't produce a win.
That's a very good point, Big C. A big game coming up also on Sunday. We have 2 more games to run down. Dallas Cowboys 1-0 at the Denver Broncos 1-0 Sunday, 4:25 Eastern Time on Fox Sports. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Aaron Andrews have the play-by-play. Dallas looked very good defensively playing against a $100 million quarterback in Eli Manning last week. And I like their quarterback. He's a second-year player. There may be a lot of pressure on this kid, but Prescott looks like he's been in the league for 5 years. Ezekiel Elliott, maybe some of those troubles are behind him. Dallas, even though they're loaded, they only had 19 points at home against a Giants team that's not as good as people thought they were going to be. Your thoughts on going into Mile High Stadium? Hopefully they'll bring their own oxygen, Big C, if that makes any sense to you. Your thoughts?
Well, this is a game that, I kind of tend to lean towards Denver in this game, Charlton. Trevor Siemian has always played good in Denver.
Yeah.
Dallas is coming to grass masters, which makes a huge difference on athletes, Charlton, in your running style. So I give Denver the advantage in this game. Plus, they're playing in that altitude, which makes a huge difference on teams coming in. Dallas is a very large team. So, this will slow them down. I don't think they cut the grass in Denver in the last 2 weeks either.
No, they cut the grass. It's not the one they run on, Big C.
Advantage with the Cowboys. Jerry Jones will be crying about it, but the Cowboys are a good team.
Yeah.
But I see Denver being on the rise of this game.
Well, no pun intended about that. Final NFL game they want to preview because it really has playoff makings all over it. Last year's NFC Championship game, the Green Bay Packers 1-0 at the Atlanta Falcons at the brand new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's a gorgeous place. The Falcons are favored by 3. Last year, the Packers got blown out 44-21 to Atlanta. Now they're going back to the new stadium down in Atlanta. Should be a fever pitch crowd. Everyone should be happy and celebrate in Atlanta. They got an easy win, not an easy win, but a squeak by win at Chicago. They have to really get them focused for this game. Aaron Rodgers, does he have enough to go in and knock off Ryan? You get to see $200 million quarterbacks. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is a deal with 2 teams, Charlton. Last year, the Packers lived into the NFC Championship game, Charlton. They had so many injuries that they ran out of Band-Aids, okay?
Yeah.
This is a different horse this year with the Packers. The receiving core is healthy. Well, they only had 2 receivers that played last year this game, Charlton. Ty Montgomery got a little nicked up. But the Falcons didn't look great against the Bears, Charlton. Everyone talks about the Bears being a hapless team.
Yeah.
But they played the Falcons close to the best. If not for a long touchdown that Matt Ryan threw, this game would have went a different way.
Yeah.
But I like Green Bay in this game coming in. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers has something to prove that last year was a fluke that Matt Ryan outdueled him, Charlton.
Yeah. Obviously, two good quarterbacks that can throw the ball. Julio Jones really has to step up in this game for the Falcons to get the win. Big C, that game again, Sunday, 8:30 Eastern Time, NBC Sports, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya. As we close out, Big C, we know there's been so much happening in the world with the hurricanes and the floods, and we still know people need help. So if you're out there listening, you can continue donating to the Red Cross and other organizations. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bondini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Jonathan, what I'm looking forward to in the sports universe, and I want to give a shout-out in this scenario to Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan was from St. Croix,
Oh, yeah.
the U.S. Virgin Islands. Tim Duncan has done a marvelous job in disaster relief, along with a lot of his NFL colleagues,
Yeah.
and coming down to the aid and donating funds. This is a story that's going untold.
Yeah.
But the U.S. Virgin Islands is part of the U.S. territory.
Yeah.
It has produced a lot of tremendous American athletes, Charlton, and we can't turn our eye on those athletes' background and their heritage, and we can't turn our backs on those American people, Charlton. Even though they don't get a chance to vote,
Yeah.
they're still Americans.
That's a very good point, Big C. So everyone, please keep giving, please keep hoping, and keep listening every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. Of course, the Big C and the good old boys down south. We always want to tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, just call 911 so no woman can have to deal with that on her own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.